What's up, educators? It's Trey Gamage back with the Dash Podcast. What's up, educators? It's Trey Gamage back with the Dash Podcast. Another episode here while I'm on the road. And today we're talking about facts and fiction when it comes to SEL. I love this fact versus fiction kind of conversation. And one thing I always say, or scratch, redo. What's up, educators? Welcome back to the Dash Podcast. It's Trey Gamage back with another episode. We've got a wonderful article here today from Harvard Politics about feelings versus facts when it comes to SEL. And I love this concept or idea because facts and feelings aren't the same. Did you know that? The way you feel about a situation, if it's upsetting or exciting or whatever feeling that you have about it, doesn't mean that it's necessarily aligned with the facts of the situation, right? And so we're going to dig into what that means. But there's the good, there's the bad. But one fact we can say about SEL is it is not political. We need it to be happy, to be healthy, and to be whole. So in this episode, that's exactly what we're going to explore. Insert intro commercial. One fact, the first fact, okay, timestamp one. One of the first facts I want to share with you is that 20% of kids are experiencing bullying or mental illness at school. That's 1 in 5. That's a lot of kids. Or if you got a class of 20, there's 4 kids in the class that are being bullied or that have a mental illness. And there's several ways that we could explore why this rate is so high. We know that what explicit SEL instruction looks like. And we've talked about how to integrate these in the classroom. But if this is a fact about students in these percentages of bullying and mental illness, we need to use now we can put our feelings in place and think about what's going to help our kids. I don't want my kids feeling bad when they're in my class. I don't want kids feeling bullied when they're in my class. So what SEL strategies or integrations can I put into place that will help eliminate that, or at least help students feel like they have a place where they can be safe? And some things that you can do, like simple things, include greetings. You see all the handshakes when people come into school. It doesn't have to be a handshake or something special like that, but taking time to sit down with the kid. When you're in a small group or independent time, pull your kids one-on-one and make it a point every week to touch base for 2 minutes with every kid in your class. Journaling is another option. Giving students an opportunity to journal for 5 minutes in a day, in the morning or in the evening, to reflect, to write down their own things. And if they want you to read it, they can let you know. If not, it can just be their own journal and documentation. Affirmations. We don't always have to point out what's wrong. We can focus on what's strong. We can celebrate students for little things, and we can affirm that they are doing what they're supposed to do, right? A couple more. We got reflection. We've got SMART goals, setting goals, giving folks a sense of purpose. We've got practicing mindfulness, and then tier 2 type check-ins or mentoring as well with peers, peer mentoring. If you have a larger school, the 8th graders can mentor the 6th graders, or the 9th graders can mentor the 5th graders. So there's options that we have here that put structure in place to support the fact that kids are experiencing bullying and mental illness at school, right? I know how I feel about that. I feel bad about it. but that's not enough. What action can we take to rectify this issue? Break, insert, teach better commercial. Now we're moving into a real rise of SEL, and I'm excited to kind of be not I wouldn't say an early adopter because this stuff started back in the '70s with Dr. James Comer and Maurice Elias and Yale and emotional intelligence, and back then it wasn't necessarily about behaviors being corrected or fixed, or and I guess it still really isn't, but it was just about building kids skills for what they need to graduate, what they need to succeed in the real world. And you can look at, we've got RTI that looks at behavior and academics, but our behavior protocols are responsive more than they are restorative. So with that behavior protocol, there's actually another component of that, which is where SEL comes in. So behavior is responsive, but SEL is proactive. And so folks like James Comer, when we look at social, emotional, academic development, we see that the average academic points go up about 11%. The return on investment is significant for adults and students. And so these last 2-3 years, I've had chances to talk to some of these leading SEL experts in different schools, Johns Hopkins, Yale, Rutgers, and participate in these organizations as well to see that there is a significant increase in spending for SEL. There's a significant increase in resources available for SEL, but on the same time, it's said in life, you're going to experience as much joy, happiness, success, and love as you're going to experience despair, hate, sorrow, and pain. And so while we have all these good things coming up in the rise of SEL, there's still those crabs that are trying to take folks back down. The American Rescue Plan designated 123 billion towards K-12 education, and that's a significant increase in what was had before in regards to SEL. But I mentioned before, like we've got to consider how that money is being used and where we can use it now to best meet our students' needs. This is the third timestamp, and the title would be You Don't Need an All-Star Curriculum. While some schools are moving away from SEL, or at least the language of SEL, they don't want it involved in the district because of politics. I've spoken to some educators that say, like, just a video from CNN will get a curriculum canceled because it's politicized, or there's other components of the politicization that make it hard for folks to implement SEL. But there is other language we can use for to implement it: growth mindsets, emotional intelligence, communication skills, relationship skills. So we've got to figure out the best ways that we can rechange or reframe the language to meet the needs of your community. So just because your community might be against the language of SEL, maybe you can try character development. There's social emotional character development as well. And so social emotional learning is building the competencies, character development is building character, is building those values that you have and can move forward. So maybe that's less controversial for you or for your school district. And character.org would be the best place for you to go to find some of these curriculums. Another resource is Explore Harvard. Explore Harvard has a complete mix of all the SEL types of programs and the different indicators. So if you're in a district that is struggling with the politicization of SEL, that Harvard Exploration may give you another curriculum or another language that you can use to be able to keep rolling this stuff out, because we need character development. We need this support. On another end, Cut that last one at support. It's a new timestamp. On another end, I want you to be conscious as well that while I love Castle and have adopted several of the programs with schools that we've had, Castle's programs or Castle Select evidence-based programs might not be the best fit for your school community. I'm not saying get something that's, rinky-dink or ragtag, but I'm saying that there is curriculums that are available as well that might not be have gone through all the studies that they need to go to or gotten the signatures of approval, excuse me, that they need to make it come across as more legitimate from a officiality standpoint. However, some of those courses may have language that is more suitable for your environment or a curriculum that makes more sense for your environment. Language makes a big difference out here. And I think this is a very important conversation because where we decide to go when it comes to obviously supporting teachers, that's where my main focus is, but um, impacting students, if we don't continue this rush with SEL and we don't keep fighting for students building skills that help them be better people, where's our future going to be? That's the most important part about our job and why we care so much about it, because as an educator, your job is being responsible for raising the next generation and preparing the next generation for success. So if we can't do that, we've got to think about what our alternative is going to be. In politics, hey, those are feelings in most cases. There's agendas in those cases. There's places that we want this money to go. I've been a politician. I was a city council member for 3 years. And so I have experience sitting in those meetings, moving those budgets, approving those budgets, figuring out what's going on. And so there's agendas when it comes to politics. And oftentimes we're moving on feelings, not facts, or we're putting data together that looks like facts to support our feelings. What I'm saying is keep fighting, keep going. Check out the social emotional, or check out character.org. Check out SECD certification, social emotional character development certification with Rutgers. Also check out Byron McClure, Hacking Deficit Thinking. So I'll make sure I put all these links in the chat for you. There's a lot of good stuff in here to separate facts from feelings when it comes to SEL and how SEL impacts our adults and our kids for the next generation. If you like this episode, share it with somebody that needs to hear it. You know how to get in touch with us at SEL Educators on YouTube, at Trey Gamage on social media platforms, and we'll see you next time. This is The Dash.